Okay, let's take a look at lesson number 37 of Algebra 2, chemical compounds and parallelograms. Chemical compounds and parallelograms. We're going to set you up to start doing chemistry soon. Look at 37.1. 37.1. The chemical formula for water is H2O. H2O. Meaning there are two atoms of hydrogen and there is one atom of oxygen. Okay? There's nothing written there. It's always assumed that there is a 1. Okay? That's the first bit of information. The next bit of information is that atoms of each element weigh different amounts. So we need that. And in 37.1, we find that oxygen equals 16. It is 16 grams. Not 16 grams, but measured 16. And hydrogen only weighs 1. Okay? So therefore, if I look at hydrogen, let's find out the total weight for one molecule of H2O. Well, there's 2 hydrogen, which is going to be 2 times 1. And there's 1 atom of oxygen, which is going to be 1. We'll make this the quantity over the element, okay? So the quantity, there's 2 over 1 element. And the element only weighs 1, okay? The oxygen, there's only 1 oxygen, but the quantity is 16 times 1. Okay? Back that up. Okay, oxygen. The quantity, not the quantity. Yeah, there's 2. And this one, the oxygen, how many oxygens are there? There's 1 times 16. Sorry, a little confused there. Okay? So let's multiply these out. 2 times only 1 weight is 2. There's only 1 of the oxygen, but it weighs 16, a lot heavier than hydrogen, okay? So this equals 16. So I find out some proportions from that like we used in the past, okay? I know that, let's see here. I know my, let's see here, hydrogen over the oxygen, think about my ratios, is 2 over 16, okay? Let's look at the totals though. Hydrogen is 2 over 18, hydrogen over the total weight for just one of them. And also, I can tell you that oxygen, and I say OX just so you don't confuse the O for a 0. OX over the total, oxygen was 16, is 16 over 18, okay? So a couple different ways. Hydrogen was 2 over 18, oxygen was 16 over 18 for one molecule. Now in 37.1, they say if we have 3,600 grams of water, 3,600 grams of water, so that's a total. What's the weight of the oxygen? So I'm going to use this ratio right here. Oxygen was over the total 16 over 18. So if they told me what the total was 3,200, oh no, the total was 3,600 grams. 3,600 grams of water, right? Water is H2O. So the total is 3,600. They want to know how many grams of oxygen. Okay? There were. So at this point, it's just cross multiplication. It's 16 times 3,600. It's going to be 18 oxygen and divide both sides by 18 oxygen. And that's when you get 3,200 grams. 3,200 grams. Okay? Let's try example 37.2. 37.2. So you need to know the formula for the molecule, and then you know the weights of each element. Then you need to find the total that they're going to apply to that, okay? Look at 37.2. The chemical formula for ammonia is NH3. NH3. Understanding that there's 1 of the nitrogen and 3 of the hydrogen, okay? Now, they say the total they're going to use is 510 grams of the ammonia. So let's make 510 over here equals fraction line. We're going to have the ratio on this side and the actual on this side. Ratio and actual, right? Okay. Now let's take a look here. Now the weight, hydrogen is 1. And hydrogen is 1, and pneumonia is 14. Pneumonia is 14. Okay, the N. Did I say pneumonia right? Keep losing my spot here. ammonia is total and N is nitrogen. Sorry. So nitrogen is 14. Okay? So let's start thinking about this. It's going to be 3 times 1 equals 3. And this is for the hydrogen. And the N is going to be, how many molecules of N are there? There's one of them, and each one weighs 14. Okay? So this is going to be 14. So the total is going to be 17. The total is going to be 17. Okay? And they're asking for which one? They said how much of the nitrogen, how much does the nitrogen weigh? So we're looking for the nitrogen total, and the nitrogen was going to be 1 times 14. So it's 14. The N is right here, okay? So I'm going to use nitrogen. Let's see here. NH equals 14 over 3. NT equals 14 over 17. So we're going to use the 14 over 17 like I said. The N is 510, so it's going to be 17N equals 14 times 510. Divide both sides by 17, and you'll find what N equals. And in this case, N equals 420 grams. 420 grams. So you need to pay attention to how much of each atom there are, how much each atom weighs. Find the combined total of the weight for one of them. And write that in different ways, and then apply which one based on what they're asking for as cross-multiplication after that. Okay? So that's 37.1 and 2. Let's move on to 37.B, parallelograms. 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 Okay? So there are some rules for parallelograms. Look at page 166, 1 through 4. The pair of parallel sides have equal lengths. They're congruent. This side is equal to this side is equal to this. Number 2, angles opposite each other have equal measurements or are congruent. This is, let's say it's 9. Let's say this one's 80 degrees, this one's 80 degrees. This one's 120 degrees, this one's 120 degrees. So the angles opposite have the equal measurements. Here's something different though. The sum of any two adjacent angles is 180 degrees. So let's say this is angle A and this is angle B. This plus this, A plus B, equals 180 degrees, okay? So this plus this 180, that's important for the lesson today, okay? And the diagonals bisect each other. The diagonals bisect each other, okay? So I can cut it straight across, and then also I look at the other way, I can cross it also like this, okay? That being said, look at 37.4. A, B, C, let's change this around to match theirs. A, B, C, D. Okay? They have y plus 7 right here. Y plus 7. And they have 4 right here, 7 up here. And they have x plus 2. X plus 2. Okay, A, B, C, D is a parallelogram. Ding, ding, ding. So all the rules 1 through 4 apply on page 166. The measurement of angle BAD, okay, is 65 degrees. Okay, so this is 65 degrees. Angle ABD. Okay. Find angle ADC and angle DCB. And then find X and Y. Okay? So I think we already know what angle DCB is, right? DCB is the same as BAD, right? Because the opposite have equals according to number 2, okay? So let's go ahead and take a look at that. Let's see here. The measure of opposite angles equal. So angle DCB is 65 degrees. Okay, the sum of the measures of the two angles adjacent. All right, so this angle and this angle are going to add up. Are going to add up to 180 degrees. Okay, so they have x plus 2 plus and y plus 7. They kind of already gave it to this. So y equals -3, x equals 5. Okay, so we have our answers there. So if this angle is 65 and this angle is 65, okay? If 65 65 plus b equals 180 degrees, right? 65 plus b equals 180 because of rule number 3. Then if I subtract 65 from both sides, I'll find out what this measurement is, okay? And so b equals 180 minus 65, 7, 10, 5, 11, 115, okay? And if this is 115 degrees, this opposite 115 degrees. So the first one they mentioned was 150 degrees, and then the second angle they measured is actually the opposite side, and so they're congruent at 65 degrees, okay? And then when they said y plus 7 equals 4, they're just looking across here. Y plus 7 equals 4, and x plus 2 equals 7, okay? We solve these independently, right? So y equals 4 minus 7 and x equals 7 minus 2. Therefore, y equals negative 3 and x equals positive 2. Okay? Those are 3 things to figure out. Look at example 37.5. ABCD is a parallelogram. Find x and y. Find x and y. Okay? Well, let's rewrite that one. Find x and y. Well, first of all, I know that 10x plus 50 plus 5x plus 10 equals 180 degrees. So combine like terms, I got 15x plus 60 equals 180. Subtract 60 from both sides. So 15x equals 120. Right? Divide both sides by 15. And x equals what? X is going to equal 8. X equals 8. When I know that x equals 8, I can look at my opposing, okay? So 10x plus 50, okay? Substitute in the value of x, and you have 130 degrees, okay? If you know that's 130 degrees, the opposite is also 130 degrees. So the y plus 10 is 130. So when I solve for this corner right here, I found 130 degrees. I can just write this 130 degrees equals y plus 10. So when you have the x, what you're doing with x is you are solving for the degrees right here. And then you know the other side, 130 equals y plus 10, and so y equals 120. Okay? So try and practice A, B, C, and D, and then verify in the back. That's lesson number 37.